Hi, welcome back to Ahead of the Curve. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Teed. Today we're talking about gift guide for people with scoliosis. Before we jump into today's topic, I just want to give you a little bit of a life update. I briefly touched on my tongue tie condition that I have. Talked about that in an episode with Dr. Laura Glazebrook. She's the one that even brought attention to the matter of there being a connection between people that have scoliosis and who have tongue ties as well. So that led me down the path of looking into whether or not I had one. And I had a suspicion that I did have one before I saw a specialist in this. So fast forward, I have been working now with Ashley Palin, who is a myofunctional therapist. She's also known as the tongue therapist on Instagram. So check her out. She has a bunch of really, really useful, helpful information on her page. And you can learn a ton for free just through sifting through all of that information. So I had my assessment with her. We discovered I have a tongue tie and a superior lip tie, which means my top lip has a tie as well. So I've been working with her for about 3 months, and we're building up strength and control of my tongue, of my lips as well, in preparation to have a tongue tie release. And I had a consultation with a dentist who is an airway specialist on Monday, and we did an assessment together as well. And they took some scans of my head and neck to make sure that I had sufficient space at the roof of my mouth for my tongue to be able to seal up there. Otherwise, I would have to go down a road of getting my palate expanded, and I don't really want to do that, and getting braces, because like when you go and you expand the palate, it causes the teeth to shift and move and open, and then you end up with a gap in the front of the teeth. So I didn't really want to have to go through that. So if that was the case, that I had too small of a palate, I probably wouldn't go through with the procedure that would allow me to have the release done. So they did all of that and everything looked good. So we now have my tongue tie and lip tie release scheduled for in a few weeks. So I'll keep you updated with all of that. I will do an episode in the future as to why there is a connection, or not why there is a connection, but why it's important to address these things if they are something that you have. Just kind of like a really brief touch on that. With having a tongue tie, with having a lip tie, that prevents me from being able to have my tongue sealed to the roof of my mouth throughout the day. Because of my tongue tie, the back of my tongue isn't able to seal because it's being bound down to the floor of my mouth. And then that creates a whole other host of issues with more of a forward head posture. You can work as much as you can doing like corrective exercises, Pilates exercises. But if your tongue is bound down by like a fascial restriction, there's only so much that you can do to correct some of that that's going on. And it's really important to have that tongue fully sealed to the roof of the mouth to help stimulate your vagus nerve. So baseline, I already feel like I'm in a state of fight or flight all the time because of some of the things that I deal with my scoliosis. I tend to breathe a little bit more shallow, more rapidly. And then I can't have that tongue seal, so I'm not stimulating that nerve, which, helps to, when you stimulate your vagus nerve, it helps to put you into more of a calm and relaxed state, which I need. It may sound like I'm calm and relaxed, but inside this head, I am not. So, so those are just a few of the reasons I'm going to be getting this done. It can also create TMJ issues, pain, myofascial pain in the neck, chronic headaches, migraines. Thankfully I do not get those, but I do have chronic tightness in the one side of my neck and shoulder. So during my consultation with a specialist who's amazing, she's very down to earth and very knowledgeable. I enjoyed talking to her. We were talking about the connection between scoliosis and tongue ties, and she works with a tremendous amount of adolescents who have scoliosis and who have tongue ties, and then they have a craniosacral therapist that works on their team as well, and a chiropractor. And these adolescents that she's seen and she's done the release on, and they had scoliosis going into it, after they've had the tongue tie release and then after they've done the craniosacral treatments, their curve has either totally diminished or greatly reduced after getting that procedure done. So if you're already a client of mine, you've heard me talk about this at length. So I'm collecting some of my own data on the people that I see and recommending them. If I screen them and I do find that they have a tongue tie, I'm sending them out and recommending that they get further assessments done. So stay tuned for more information on that. Dr. Laura and I will also be doing another episode together or an Instagram live regarding tongue ties and some of the current research that's being done on it. For the topic of the day, with the holidays just around the corner, it is a good idea to start putting together a wish list of gifts you may want, so you don't end up with some sort of like weird trinket thing or ugly socks, something that you have to end up spending time to return. Some of these gift suggestions might surprise you, but I think you'll understand why I recommend them by the end of the episode. My first recommendation would be scolio props. I did a whole episode about scolio tools that I recommend, scolio tools that I recommend staying away from. You can check out that episode to learn more, but these are some of the scolio props that I recommend that you add to your wish list if you don't already have them. One of them is the Courageous ball. So that's that 9-inch ball, and it has a little bit of texture to it. So there's just like the standard Pilates ball, and that's more smooth. But the Courageous ball, it actually has a little bit of like not a tackiness, but it's a little bit more of a texture to it, so that when you go and you lay over it and you can do some breathing and mobilization exercises using that ball, it actually kind of will stick to the skin a little bit better and it won't slip out from underneath of you sometimes like that small Pilates ball does. I like to use that as a prop to help modify Pilates exercises. I also use it for some mobilization stuff as well. It can be a really good tool for feedback. So for instance, if you're laying over the ball with it at your concavity and you're breathing into it, It helps to provide a resistance to be breathing into instead of just trying to create that imaginary resistance in your own mind and in your body. The other thing I recommend for scolio props would be Franklin balls. I use them in a similar way to the Courageous ball, but they're a bit smaller, so it helps to do some like nice release work along the sides of the body. You can use them all different spots in the hips as well. Also a traction belt and a door loop if you don't have a wall ladder. Those you can find on Happy Sew's website. That will be in the show notes. And then wedges, and you can also find those on Happy Sew as well. So the wedges you can use to prop yourself either just for comfort or to help you to connect to your exercises a little bit better. And then also a pull-up bar. So I promise not all of these are going to be like exercise related things. A lot of them will be, but those are my scolio prop recommendations. My next recommendation, comfortable clothing. We talked about some clothing recommendations on another episode. I recommend requesting some comfortable bras that are possibly wireless. Honeylove has a bunch of, I think all of their bras are wireless. If I'm wrong, sorry. But with having scoliosis and having the rib rotation, underwire can be very uncomfortable and restrictive on those ribs and on the rib prominence in the front or the back. So looking into something like that and requesting that as a gift, I think would be really nice because they are a little bit on the pricier side, but I think that they're worth it. And then also just other clothing, maybe subscribing to something like Stitch Fix or another clothing subscription service. Don't worry, Stitch Fix, and these are not sponsors of mine, but I would be open to that because I love Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix, they recommend that you take measurements of yourself. So you measure your rib cage diameter, your waist, your hips, the length of your legs, and the clothing are very catered to you. So you're not going to end up with things that are digging in and super uncomfortable like you would if you're trying to go to a department store or even like TJ Maxx or something to find something on your own. I just love the convenience of that because you make a little note to your stylist beforehand. You fill out like this whole profile of things that you like, things that you don't like. Like if you don't like floral prints, they won't send you stuff like that. If you don't like to show off your arms, they'll send you, short sleeve, long sleeve stuff so that you're not exposing things that you don't want to show off. So I think that is a really wonderful gift idea, especially for somebody that has scoliosis, because you can be really specific about what it is that you're looking for and what it is that you like. A gift certificate with your favorite body worker is another really good gift idea. This could be a massage therapist, an acupuncturist, or a craniosacral therapist. I've mentioned craniosacral therapy before, and I don't know that I've gone into detail about what exactly that is. Craniosacral therapy is a form of alternative medicine. It involves like really gentle touch and manipulation of your head, of your spine, and of your pelvis that helps to promote healing. Their belief for this therapy is that there's a rhythmic flow of cerebrospinal fluid. So that's the fluid that runs up and down your spine from your head to the pelvis and back up. That can be balanced to help enhance and improve the way that you're feeling. And that is something that I've actually not had it done yet, but I've had other clients who have done this form of therapy, and it's been very beneficial for them. Sometimes massage can just be a little bit too intense, especially having scoliosis. And if you go to a massage therapist who doesn't understand it, they see your rotation of your spine as that being a tight muscle, and then they go in and they dig in at that area, and it's not necessarily a tight muscle, it's like your bone. So that can be super uncomfortable to have done. And I have had a lot of people who've had negative experiences with massage therapy. So craniosacral therapy could be a really good alternative treatment. So and all of the benefits for those three kinds of treatment, so massage, acupuncture, and craniosacral therapy, they help with pain. They help with stress, reducing your stress, helping to improve your sleep. It helps to improve your immunity and your mental clarity. Sometimes it can even help relieve migraines and things like that too. A food service gift certificate like Home Chef or Green Chef can be really great for somebody that has scoliosis. So I did an episode with Dr. Simonson, Anna Simonson, and we talked about all the benefits of eating well and eating nourishing foods to help nourish our bones and nourish our spine, nourish our bodies. And subscribing to a food service like Home Chef, HelloFresh, something like that, it helps take some of the guesswork out of things. I know that a lot of us are busy, and the idea of putting together a grocery list, a meal plan for the week can get really overwhelming, and then you end up just not doing it and eating out a bit more than is probably the best. Having something like Home Chef where they do prepare very well balanced meals, and you can throw in some of your preferences, such as dietary restrictions, lactose intolerance, things like that, gluten intolerance, and they have all sorts of menu options for you as well. A mindfulness app can be something that's kind of out of the box type of gift. So something like the NeuroFit app, I was introduced that app through Carrie Green, who she does a lot of nervous system work and is a scolio warrior, spinal fusion warrior, or spinal fusion superhero in my mind. She introduced me to this app, and it's a really fun way of tracking your homeostasis pretty much. So on a daily basis, it does a check-in with you in the morning and a check-in with you in the evening. And during those check-ins, you rate how you're feeling as far as your relationships. You rate how you're feeling as far as your business and your job. You rate how you're feeling as far as your finances. And it's all sorts of different options. Are you in more of I'm not remembering the terminology right now, but are you more in a stress state, or are you more in a calm state? So you're rating yourself there. you take a measurement. I don't know how accurate it is. They call it their HRV measurement, and that stands for heart rate variability. And you want that to be high. So that means that your heart rate varies from going super high to going super low. You want that variability to be a large number. So, and then based off of how you rate with those measurements, they will recommend a form of like exercise for you to do. And it's like either like a breathing exercise or like kind of like dancing, a movement type of thing. And it's only for like a minute or so. So it's very quick. And it's just a nice way for you to connect with that side of things without having to spend a tremendous amount of time on it. I've found it really helpful. I know Dr. Laura has mentioned that she uses it as well, and she's found it helpful too. And I think that a lot of us with scoliosis, we tend to be a bit more anxious, tend to be a bit more high performer type of people. At least the ones that I've encountered have been that way. So it can be, I think, a really wonderful gift idea for somebody that has scoliosis. Education, kind of along the same lines, education to empower yourself to self-treat. So Dr. Perry Nicholson from Stop Chasing Pain, he does a lot of courses that teach you how to self-treat. He does his lymphatic mojo, which I've mentioned before. He actually does a tongue mojo as well. He does, the other ones are escaping my mind right now. Can't think of them right now, but he offers a lot of courses to the general population. It's not just physical therapists and movement professionals. It is everybody. So something like that could be very interesting and empowering for you to receive as a gift. Gua sha, or a dry brushing tool, can also be really nice to help you self-treat. It's important to take the time to tend to your lymphatic system on a daily basis because that helps with overall wellness. It helps to improve your proprioception. It helps to improve your immunity. It helps to decrease your pain and your stress. And I did a whole episode all about the lymphatic system that you can check out for more details on why these things are important. And there's lots of tutorials online on YouTube to teach you how to do the dry brushing and the gua sha. And then finally, I am going to do a little bit of a self-plug of a great gift recommendation, in my opinion. A subscription to the Scoliologic fitness program or a session with a scoliosis specialist to help understand your curve a bit more. So Scoliologic Fitness, it helps take all the guesswork out of trying to figure out a good routine that is safe for your scoliosis. All the exercises in there are scolio friendly, and you have an on-demand library that you can refer back to that is filled with bar classes, Pilates classes, strength training classes that you can take at your own time, or you can take a live class as well. And coming up in the new year, I'm doing open enrollment and offering some discounts on some of my services that I offer throughout the year. So stay tuned for that. Make sure that you are on my email list, and I'll be sending out some information regarding that in the coming weeks. So I hope that you were taking notes of some of the gifts that you would like to receive You can even share this with a loved one to give them a little nudge about some of the gifts that you may want to receive this year for Christmas. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Until next time, stay well and stay ahead of the curve.